So now let's have a look at what happens technically when you create an outbound delivery either in the delivery due list or via VL01. The first thing that the system does is that it checks the index table, this VEPVG. Yeah, when it runs the delivery due list, it actually checks to see that the entry, it actually reads that table and presents that table to you. If you were to create via VL01, it would actually read from that table to do all the copy rules. Yeah, so that is why sometimes if you think that, oh, this delivery is not there or it's not being selected via the delivery due list, do a quick search in the table VEPVG, it's the index table, and see if your delivery is in that table. If the delivery is in that table, then your selection was wrong. If the delivery is not in that table, then there is a rule that's stopping SAP saying that sales order is now relevant for delivery. Yeah, so that's a tip for you. So a tip here: if you ever have to write any custom code that determines open orders or something like that, read the index table rather than looking at VBAK and VBAP. It's much faster, and the index table already has all of the logic pre-built in. So you don't have to have anything else. If it's in that table, it can be delivered. It's as simple as that. Okay, so once you've started the delivery creation, the system will then start the copy control rules. We'll have a look at that in another lecture, but in the copy control rules, it has a document type and the item category. So it determines the document type by the sales order. It looks at the configuration for the delivery type, we saw that, and the item category is the same. So it will take that item category that's in the sales order, it'll just copy that across into the delivery. If the item is determined, then it will look at the table T184L to determine what the item category is. When we say a new item is determined, it means that if, for example, there was a bomb explosion, or it had to redetermine an item, or, for example, packaging material, it had to put a new item there, then yes, it's a new item, it's not in the sales order, it's in the delivery, and the system then needs to determine the item category. And it does that by reading the table T184L. As the logic is very similar to the sales order item determination, it reads that table, determines the item category for that delivery, and it puts it in there. The system will then copy all of the reference data from the original document into the delivery. For example, it could copy the partner function, the milestone data, or in most cases, the most important is it would copy the enterprise structure. And when we say enterprise structure, we mean items like the plant, or more importantly, the shipping point. And as we noted before, if in the document we have two different shipping points, then we'll actually have a split, i.e. we'll have two deliveries. If configured, SAP will also redetermine some values like the picking and loading dates, the routes or the materials, the quantity of materials to be shipped, i.e. it would rerun availability again. And finally, it would also update all of the tables. For example, it would update the document flow table, BBFA, and it would say this sales order has created this delivery. Now, this is not an exhaustive list of everything that happens. It's just a list of everything that's important for people to know about. Okay, we've seen the PowerPoint presentation. Let's have a look and see how it's done properly in SAP. You see here we have the VL10A screen, the delivery due list, and you can see that the shipping point here is 2400. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to execute the transaction. And as you can see, I have two documents, sales orders here. Don't worry about the red because it's in the past. But as you can see here, totally all of these orders here come from the sales orders. Yeah, so the sales orders here are providing what we call the demand in the delivery due list. Now, if I were to go to the table, here's the index table that we've seen. I put in the shipping point 2400 and I execute. You can see here also you can see the two sales orders that are in the index table. Obviously there's a little bit more here for the selection. You have the sold to, the ship to, the sales organization, the weight, things that are actually in the selection screen in the VL10. So you can see here there's a correspondence of the entries in this table and the output in the VL10 screen. So if we now go to the config, let me go to SPRO and I go to IMG, logistics execution, shipping, deliveries, define item category, determination in deliveries. And you can see here it's like the sales order. You have the delivery type here, the item usage, you have the item category, and the item category that's a manual. Like the sales order, it's similar. So if we were to go back, and now finally let's have a look at the table VBFA. This is the document flow table. So let me put it in here. VBFA. Oops, let me just try that again. VBFA, execute. And here you can see the preceding document, which is the document before, and the sequential document, which is the document after. And basically what it means is, for example, from a sales order, you then would create a delivery. So the preceding document will be the sales order, and the sequential document is a delivery. And if you, in the functionality, remember we talked about you had the document flow in the sales order, that when you clicked would show the sales orders, the deliveries linked to the sales orders, the invoices linked to the sales orders, or the invoices linked to the deliveries. And this is the table that holds all of that information. So if we were to open the category here, you can see here it has all of the different types. I'm going to choose J for delivery, and the preceding document category I'm going to say C, and I'm going to execute. And what it's going to show me is all of the sales orders and the deliveries that were created after. And you can see here the sales orders and the delivery numbers that are linked to it. You see the quantities here as well, and you will notice then all the other details. What's important to note is all of this is on item level. So each sales order item has a corresponding delivery item or invoice item and so forth. So finally, why is this VBFA table important? This table is quite important to use because it holds all of it groups all of the documents together. So from a sales order you can find all the corresponding or follow-on deliveries. From a sales order you can find all the invoices, or if you had an invoice number you could find the corresponding sales order. So this is great when you are designing a report, and it's good to say, okay, for this sales orders find me all of the deliveries, or from this deliveries find me all of the sales orders and all of the invoices. It's the fast way to look what we call up and down the process flow to find all of the corresponding documents. So to summarize, when we create a delivery in the delivery due list, it actually looks at the index table to make sure that the sales order is present in there, so that it can validate that it's a proper demand that can be created into delivery. It looks at the item configuration table. It looks at the configuration. It looks at the copy control. And after it creates the delivery, it updates the index table. And also all other tables. There's quite a lot of delivery tables that it needs to update, but the VBFA is the important one because it's quite a popular table to use. So we've now looked under the hood to see how SAP technically creates the delivery. We've seen what it does, and we've seen the use of the index table. So now let's move on and watch the next video.